All right, so my name is Genevieve Zazzati. I work for Contra Costa County Mental Health Services Act. This is our community forum that's focused on supportive housing. We are here tonight to hear input from the community, from stakeholders, people receiving services, family members, and part of what we will be doing tonight, later on, we'll be breaking out into small group discussions. Just like to kind of give that information. We will make sure that all of you have all the info to break out before we do so. Again, this is our supportive housing community forum, and I'd like to first start off by welcoming everyone. Thank you all for attending and choosing to be here tonight. We'd also like to take the time to thank Contra Costa College for allowing us to use their facility. Thank you to our professors, Professor Mickles, and I'm sorry, I'm not sure where the other one there, Professor Johnson is. Thank you both for all the help tonight as well, and getting this set up, as well as Contra Costa Interfaith Housing that's here tonight as a presenter as well. I'll let Jennifer introduce herself. But.
And we'd also like to thank all the other folks that helped put this on, including especially the MHSA team, especially Audrey Montana. So thanks, everybody. My name's Jennifer Brueggemann. I work with the MHSA team for Contra Costa Behavioral Health. So thank you for being here.
We'd also like to thank the culinary department. I don't think they're here tonight, but they were, the campus culinary department provided the meals tonight and packed them all up. We do ask that if you did grab a box, there's no eating in here, please. There will be a break later on if you'd like to use that time to continue eating or use the restrooms. So just to give you an overview, we will be we will be kind of going over our agenda here. Our plan is that we're going to be in here till 2:50, and at 2:50 we will break out into small groups. Some people will stay in here, some people will be going to 2 or 3 other classrooms, and we will also reconvene in here at 4:10 p.m. You'll be dismissed from your small groups around 3:50, 3:55. That'll give you 10 to 15 minutes of a break, and then we'll return here at 4:10 and be done by 5 p.m. We would like to take this moment to point out your folders. You should have all received a registration packet when you signed in here at the table. If you haven't signed in, please, you can exit quietly and grab a folder. The folders contain, in the center, if I remember correctly, service directories. Those service directories list service providers for mental health in West Contra Costa County, as well as other providers throughout the county. We have it separated to be children's services first, and then adult services in the second half of the book, and then general county services. It's just a resource. We also have a CPAW brochure in there, which I will cover later, exactly what that is. I do recommend that you look through all of the information. CPAW will be covered a little later, so I'm not going to get too much into it. We have our forum agenda on your left-hand side of your packet, and in the forum agenda, I just would like to take a moment to go over, on the back side, we have just some basic guidelines. I'm not going to read through all of them, but some of the things that I would like to point out is we do ask that you honor people's time and allow for everyone to provide their feedback, not to negatively criticize anybody for providing their input tonight. If you have to take a phone call, make a call, please step outside and do so away from the doors. If possible, there are bathrooms. Sorry, that was another area that I wanted to cover. We didn't cover the bathrooms. They're right around the corner. We also have a Sorry. We would also like to ask that once we break out into small group discussions, we please don't dominate the conversation. Let others speak as well. Please, you have different ways to provide input, whether it's through the verbal group discussions tonight, through the public comment, or you have input and evaluation forms as well in your folder right behind the agenda. You will be asked to fill those out later tonight and turn them in. You can also email the MHSA office if you prefer to provide input in that method as well. Spanish speakers, do we have any Spanish speakers or only Spanish speaking in the room in case we need to set up? We have a Spanish interpreter here and are prepared if we need to do that. We do try to accommodate future forums. If we would like to attend or know someone that would like to attend that's monolingual, we just ask that you give us advance time so that we can prepare. Oh, okay. And so the other resource you have are the actual PowerPoint presentation. So you all have this in your packet as well as the presentation from Contra Costa Interfaith Housing. You can follow along or just look up at the screen. FYI, Contra Costa Television is here. We also would like to thank you for your support. They will not be recording any of the audience members. Their focus is towards the people that are up here presenting. So if you'd like to provide a public comment later tonight and you don't want to be recorded, you can come up and just kind of stand off to the side over here. We can bring the mic to you. But if you don't mind being recorded, you can come out up here. Just to kind of cover a little of every aspect that's here, we would like to again, just thank you all for coming and take a moment to introduce some of our service providers that are in the room that have been tabling outside for us. Some of you were able to meet with them. We try to provide that time to learn about the organizations. I believe we have a few different organizations here. If any of you would like to come step up and just, or stand up and do a quick introduction, I can call you out. I think we have a few people here from NAMI, Contra Costa, and if you'd like to raise your hands, and we've got some there, Shelly, Doug, Linda, and Dave, and Mariella, and Gigi. We have a few different people here from NAMI Contra Costa. I believe RI International was also here earlier, there you go. April Evelyn. These are all people, if you see them here later tonight and you have questions about their agencies, you're more than welcome to connect with them during the break or afterwards. We have West Contra Costa County Adult Health Clinic. Yes, Renee Owens, correct. So you can connect with her, and I'm sorry I didn't get your name. Kathy. So you can raise your hand if you have any questions or would like to find out about resources available at their clinic. We have Gloria Menjivar as well. Yes. Hi, Gloria. Who else? Stand, I believe, was here. Stand there's no up there. Gretchen. Stand was here earlier, and you can also connect with them. You're with Stand as well? Rainbow Community Center. I'm sorry, you're right, Rainbow. So Rainbow Community Center, and I'm sorry, Richmond Rec Program? Rent Program, okay. So yes, and then Shelter Inc.? Yes, okay. So these are all CBOs. Like I said, use maybe your breakout session, small break to connect with them and just find out about some of their local resources. And yes, you are Fred Finch Youth Center? Okay, Fred Finch Youth Center. West County, all right. Anybody else in the room? Yes. Richmond Adult Literacy Program, great. Thank you so much for coming. Yes.
Miss Dandy, West County and Core, homeless and mental health services.
Thank you for introducing yourself. Yes, we have one more here. Service provider, Putnam Clubhouse out in Concord, right? So these are all great resources. I do recommend that you reach out to them. Yes.
Thank you. Michelle Milam, City of Richmond, Crime Prevention Manager. I also am part of the city.
Thank you for coming tonight, Michelle. We appreciate it. Yes. Thank you. Thank you for attending tonight. Yes, we have another community member. Oh, thank you for coming, Larry. We have a few more here from Contra Costa Interfaith Housing, so I'm just going to have you raise your hand really quickly. We have two up here and then another one back there, and Rich from Mental Health Services, Inc.
Thanks to the mental health system.
Mental Health Systems, sorry. And then one more. Mobile Crisis Response Team. Thank you for being here, Layla and Natalie. Okay, and yes. Okay, Justin, thank you for coming. Any other service providers that would like to introduce yourselves? And yes. Thank you. Thank you for being here tonight. Yes, Chris. Central County Adult Mental Health, Kirsten and Emily. Yes, I know you. Sorry. And Kimberly. Miller Wellness Center in Martinez. Any other service providers? Yeah. Yes. Yes, Dr. Tavano and Dr. White are both here. Dr. Tavano is our behavioral health director. Dr. White is our medical director. They are also both here. Thank you for coming tonight. We appreciate your presence. Any other folks that would like to introduce themselves? Yes. All right, First Five Contra Costa, thank you. And yes, you're Shauna and Anna from Behavioral Health, CBSST group. Okay, sorry, it's hard to hear from way over here. Robert, yes. Behavioral Health, Adult Mental Health, Family Services Coordinator, yes. So all of these people that have been raising their hands, if you are interested in some of their work or want to find out more, please take the time to connect with them during our break that we will have later tonight. Jennifer Tuipulotu, yes. Yes. Yes, thank you Contra, for Office for Consumer Empowerment and all of the Spirit interns that are here helping us tonight as well. All right, so no other service providers. I'm going to go ahead and get started and pass over the mic to Jennifer. She will continue on to explain a little bit more about MHSA.
Thank you, Jenny. Wow, what an amazing group of people we have here this afternoon. Thank you so much for coming. I'm just going to take a minute and give a little bit of background about the Mental Health Services Act. So what is MHSA? This is also known, can everyone hear me? All right. Okay, also known as Proposition 63. This was passed in November 2004 by California voters, and MHSA is basically a millionaire's tax. So people in our state who make over $1 million pay a 1% tax that goes into a special fund that is designed to enhance and really transform our public mental health system. So MHSA's services, we have some guiding principles that we like to think about when we think of MHSA services, and those are that they are consumer and family driven, that they take place through community collaboration, that they're culturally relevant and appropriate, that they're focused on wellness, recovery, and resiliency, and that they offer an integrated service experience for consumers and family members. So MHSA also requires that we do a 3-year program and expenditure plan, and that's something that's developed in collaboration with the community. Right. So the 3-year plan. Right now, we're on the last year of our 2017 to 2020 3-year plan, and this is something that gets approved by our Board of Supervisors, and it gets updated every year. We do an annual update. So, as I said, these plans are involved with, are prepared with community input, and these types of forums are a perfect example of that. The next bullet point, we're a little bit further along in our current 3-year process. So I think we're on our 7th forum of the 3 years, and that means that probably over 700 people at this point have participated in this process that you're here helping us with today. So thank you. And we ask for your input now as we're kind of leaning into our next 3-year cycle, the 2020 to 2023. Okay, so this next slide will give you an idea of how the money is spent and what the services look like. There's currently about $54 million set aside for over 80 programs and plan elements in these 5 different components. The largest one is community services and supports. And so that is designed to support children and adults that are living with a serious mental illness. Some examples of this would be the full service FSP, Full Service Partnership Program, Mobile Crisis Response Team, Crisis Residential, things like that. Next category is prevention and early intervention. So these services are designed to prevent mental illness from really becoming severe and debilitating. Examples of this would be, we have over 20 community-based organizations around the county that are offering PEI services to children and adults. Next, we have innovation, which is designed to really kind of support up-and-coming new types of unique programming. Then we have workforce and education. The idea with this is to recruit, retain, and develop staff. And last one, we have capital facilities and information technology. So an example of this was that this funding was recently used to develop a new electronic mental health record and also to do some renovations to the Oak Grove facility that you'll hear about a little bit later. Okay. This slide just shows you some of the wonderful programs that are supported by MHSA. And what do we need from you today? Well, you showed up, so thank you. That's the hardest part. Thank you for being here. While you're here today, we're going to ask you to vote on some things, to give us your input, to participate in our small group conversations, to ask questions, to share your ideas. I do just want to do a quick reminder. You got one of these folders when you came in, and so we're going to be breaking up into small groups. And here at the top, there's a sticker with a color and a number, and that's going to help you identify which small group you're going to go into. So, yeah, and I think that's it. You're going to just kind of help us prioritize our service needs for our upcoming 3-year plan. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to our MHSA chief, Mr. Warren Hayes. He's going to talk to us today about some local housing initiatives.
Thank you, Jennifer. Almost did a pratfall. Good afternoon, everybody. It's a real pleasure to be here. Dr. Giovanno, Dr. Whiteover introduced. I promised them they didn't have to give any speeches, so we'll dispense with that. But they are here, and I would encourage you to introduce yourself to them. They are very open for getting input from our people with lived experience, family members, service providers, community members, everybody that's got a stake in this. And I want to give a plug to a very special group of folk that have really helped us put this event on. They helped us plan it, they helped us put it on, and that's our Consolidated Planning Advisory Work Group. And I'm going to embarrass you. How many are CPAW members? Come on, raise your hand. Look at that. All right. These folks have a direct pipeline to the boss. And we have monthly dialogues with our behavioral health director and medical director. If you want a piece of that action, there is a CPA application waiting for you. We've got seats. We'd love to have you. So this is just one means for providing input. We have others, and so I just want to give a pitch for that. So pivoting just a little bit, I have the great pleasure of introducing Contra Costa Interfaith Housing, and I got a little smidgen of time stolen from their time to introduce a topic that's very germane to the theme for this particular forum, and that is permanent supportive housing. Now, we're going to be talking about all kinds of housing. Shelter beds, board and care, locked facilities, anything that's got a roof and a bed, okay? That's all fair game for this afternoon. I'm gonna kind of emphasize this permanent supportive housing because we have a funding opportunity by the provided by the state MHSA trust fund, and they are putting over the next 4 years about $2 billion on the table for counties to grab for. And you may have noticed, but we have a little bit of a shortage of quality living in the community for persons who are quite compromised by mental health issues and are not able to pay the going rate and need help in maintaining themselves in the community. We don't have enough of those at all. And what tends to happen is that when people get in crisis, they tend to get into a locked facility and they then languish there. And that's not right. And so we want to make sure that we take full advantage of as much of that money that the Mental Health Services Act is putting on the table for permanent supportive housing as we can. It's called the No Place Like Home initiative. You may have heard of it. There will be a notice of funding availability in about 2 months. And so I'm just taking a minute to do a plea to every single one of you here. You all can help by, if you know somebody or you are somebody that would like to step forward and partner with the county as what we call a development sponsor. This is folks that are willing to work with us because we're the care providers, behavioral health, but folks that are willing to take on a 50-some-odd year loan for building, rehabbing, renovating bricks and mortar to provide permanent supportive housing units. We want to talk with you. We want to talk with you. If you know a neighbor, a friend, a relative, anybody, we want to talk to you now, because in the housing business, it takes a long period of planning. And so we want to take advantage, every advantage of that. And basically the loan is, you don't make payments for 50 years. It's like, almost free money. But there are lots of strings attached, and so it gets very complex. But if you know somebody, you can catch me on your input form, write it down, send us an email, any way you want. We're now in the recruiting mode, okay? So I stole a little bit of Sarah's time. So I, again, have the real pleasure of introducing one of our really solid partners that have been kind of pioneering best practices in our community, in Contra Costa, or Contra Costa Interfaith Housing. They are truly subject matter experts, and we asked them to kind of come and share with you all to kind of stimulate the discussion, to kind of get into small groups, have what they have to say kind of resonating with you, and kind of prime the pump on kind of helping all of us get really focused on this topic. So Sarah, I'm going to introduce Sarah Marsh, and she's got some team members here, and they're going to give us a little bit of time, which I've already stole some. My apologies.
No worries. We'll talk fast.
No need to.
Good afternoon. I agree with everyone who's already spoken. This is an amazing crowd, so thank you very much. So as everyone's been saying, we are Contra Costa Interfaith Housing, a nonprofit that, let's see, I'm going to have to figure out how to advance these puppies here. We don't have a clicker, right? Yeah, but, okay. Maybe I'll just say click. Anyway, we're a nonprofit. We provide permanent supportive housing and housing navigation services to over 1,000 people every year. We also provide over 100 units of permanent supportive housing throughout the county. So we're going to talk a little bit about that today. And my colleague here with me is going to also...
Barbara Henley, and as you just met, Sarah Marsh, Director of Programs.
And who are you?
And I'm Barbara Henley, Family Case Manager Supervisor.
Okay. Click.
Click.
Okay.
All right.
So
that's me.
that's you. Here you go. Sorry.
So what is permanent housing? Permanent housing is housing where the resident is asked to pay rent and have a lease. They can live there as long as they would like, as long as they honor the lease and follow the guidelines of the program. We also offer supportive services such as case management and or life skills, basic life skills training.
I feel like we're bouncing around here. So obviously permanent supportive housing is a valuable resource in the community, and as Warren said, there's not enough of it. And the question is, how do you get it? That's what a lot of people ask us all the time. There are eligibility requirements for it. It's for people who, as Warren was saying, really need support to be housed and have struggled to be housed. So often, and different programs have different eligibility requirements, but often homelessness is one requirement, some kind of a disability. For family housing, you have to have custody of your children. And for the No Place Like Home housing that we're going to be talking about today, someone needs to really qualify as having a serious mental health challenge. Oh, yeah. Okay, click. These are pictures of people that we serve in our permanent supportive housing programs. So the other part about permanent supportive housing is it is affordable. In general, people pay about 30% of their income, no matter what their income is. So if someone's living on $300 from CalWORKs, they might pay $100 rent. And then the question is, how can that be? And the answer is the government subsidizes the rest of the rent. Permanent supportive housing comes in a lot of different packages. Some apartment complexes are all permanent supportive housing. Some big apartment complexes might have a few permanent supportive housing units within a regular apartment or affordable housing place. And then there's also multi-site programs or housing that is throughout the county, throughout the community, where an organization like ours will master lease from somebody, go to a landlord and say, we'd like to rent your place and we're going to run our permanent supportive housing program here, meaning the nonprofit will take responsibility for maintaining the property, collecting the rent, and providing services for the folks who qualify for permanent supportive housing, and that's master leased. There's also owned property, which is preferable and is the kind of thing that we might be able to do with No Place Like Home, because then we don't have to master lease from a landlord who might be raising the rent or doing other things with their property.
Clicking, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so here we have two of our sites. On the left, we have Lakeside Apartments. Lakeside has 124 units.
Can you put the microphone?
I'm sorry. Here on the left is Lakeside our Lakeside site, they have 124 units, and 12 are permanent supportive housing units. And then on the right, there's Garden Park. There's Garden Park. There's 27 units in Garden Park, and all of them are permanent supportive housing units.
Yeah. And the other thing about those units and those sites is that the services are provided on site in community centers that are right in the middle of the apartment complex. In the master leased or the scattered or multi-site type housing, case managers and youth enrichment folks and life skills people will go to the houses and do home-based support for whoever's in those units. So again, how do you get into this? Coordinated entry. How many people already know about coordinated entry? Okay, a lot, maybe a third. So the government, the federal government a few years ago said, we are giving you all this money, we think this is a really good program, but we're noticing that people, if they want to get into it, have to go from housing site to housing site and get on these crazy wait lists, and it's really not working. So across the country, the federal government said, we want you guys to figure out how to have a coordinated entry system. And what that really meant was one wait list, or it's not even a wait list. They said, not only do we not want you to have multiple wait lists, we want you to have one place that people can go to. And we also don't want to do first come, first serve anymore. We want this very valuable resource, permanent supportive housing, to go to the people who really need it the most. So the coordinated entry system that got developed all over the place has the elements of having one place that people can go to, and then also an assessment that will match people who need the highest level of housing support possible for the people who need it the most. In our county, you can call 211. They will send you to a care center. You will meet a housing navigator. They will get you into the coordinated entry system. And do we have a housing navigator in the house? I think we already identified one. Don't rush him. So that's Larry from our Contra Costa Interfaith Housing. And we have housing navigators at the 4 care centers that are throughout the county. And Barbara's going to tell you about those.
Okay, so yes, we have 4 care centers. Each provide different services at our 4 care centers. There are overnight shelters. Some have drop-in services, and they provide other resources. Each center, as Sarah said, has a housing navigator who will help with the coordinated entry process and help them get on the list. And they also provide other services as well in our care centers.
So tonight, as Warren was saying, and as everyone's been saying, we're hoping to get input from the community about how to spend the MHSA money. And some of what we want to specifically focus on is what services that would go with this type of housing that we just described here, and then I guess all the other housing that Warren was mentioning. But, you know, what is your opinion about what services would be the most useful? And so we just wanted to give some examples of the kind of services that we've found people to, you know, value and find really useful. So here we have on-site or home-based services, so they're really accessible. Case managers that can help people connect with resources, access to health and mental health services, access to substance abuse treatment, aid with money management, budgeting, and assistance with social activities and finding fun things to do.
And we also have other useful services that we found the residents enjoy, such as job training, peer support, assistance getting benefits like SSI, TANF, transportation, support and help with getting employment, and basic living skills.
So we made up the time that Warren stole away by talking really fast. And we just wanted to give you the overview and the foundation to be able to have a really, informed discussion when we break out into our small groups. And to add to your information and awareness of this type of housing, we actually now have a very brave and generous person here who lives in one of our programs who's going to tell you about his personal experience living in permanent supportive housing.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. I've lived in Garden Parks apartment since January 2015. I've lived there with my girlfriend and her daughters since she was 2 when we got together. Before I was in Garden Parks apartment, I was homeless on and off for most of my life. I left home when I was in my early teens, and sometimes I would move back with my parents, and sometimes I'd go to work, and sometimes I had a job when I was homeless. I slept on benches, slept in tents. Sometimes I would stay at friends' houses. Nothing lasted long. I was using drugs and wasn't receiving mental health care, so my life was pretty erratic. And me and my girlfriend knew each other since high school, and we dated in our early 20s, but drifted apart. Sorry, I'm really nervous. I don't talk in front of more than like 2 people, so please just, sorry. We knew each other since we were in high school, and we dated in our early 20s, but drifted apart. We were both homeless and using drugs, and she got her life together when she gave birth to her daughter and moved into Garden Park. I ran into her again in January of 2015, and we've been together ever since. I was able to stop using drugs with her help, and after I was able to, thank you. And after a while, I was able to be added to the lease at GPA. I had a daughter who was 5 when I came to Garden Park, and she was able to visit regular, and she was welcomed into the activities at the property. And a year and a half ago, I was awarded part-time custody of my daughter. Thank you. Since living at GPA, I've been able to turn my life around. I stopped using drugs, in which since I've been using since my early teens to self-medicate. I had been working at landscaping field, but I hurt myself. When I was applying for disability, I was diagnosed with mental health problems for the first time in my life. I was 30 years old, and I've been receiving medication that's been helping with my moods a lot. In Garden Park on-site services that have made a huge difference in my family's life. When I feel worried or down about things, there's always somebody in the office that we can go and talk to that makes a whole world of difference. I feel safe knowing that whenever there's anything that we need, we can go down there and ask. Also, some of the people in the office have taken me down and took care of my homeless court problems, so I was able to get my license back. So that was good also. So most of my friends from my old life are still using drugs, so me and my girlfriend stay at home a lot. But we like to go to the social events at the property like the pumpkin carving and winter holiday bingo. Those are a lot of fun, and we talk about making happy memories for our daughters because we didn't have the best childhood. That's more than important forever now because just a few weeks ago we found out we're having a baby. Thank you guys. I'm very grateful for what we have. I don't know where I'd be or where we would be without the stable, affordable housing and the support we give at Garden Park. It has made a huge difference for us, and now it's making a huge difference for our children. I was very reluctant to speak this evening in front of this huge group of people, but I wanted you guys to know how important this kind of housing is for everyone like me and other people. Thank you guys very much.
Thank you so much for sharing your story, and congratulations to your family. And thank you to Interfaith Housing for sharing all that information with us. We appreciate it. So next thing we're going to do is get ready to break out into our small groups.
just mention, if you'd like to make a public comment, please come up here, grab one of these sheets, these bright green ones here. Jennifer will also help pass them out. If you are, can I get maybe one of the other volunteers that's available that might be able to help pass them out? That won't. The other forms in your folder are the input and evaluation forms. I believe they were on the left-hand side, right underneath the agenda. We ask that everybody fill them out. They're double-sided. One side is the input form. The other side is the evaluation form. If you have any comments, feedback about this forum, the planning, how we conducted it, or any more input on the discussion topics, please include them in there. You can leave them right up here in this bin right here. Public comment cards, we can either go to you and grab them. Some of our volunteers can pick them up later, or you can bring it up here to this bin. All right, everyone, thank you for those of you that are still with us tonight. I know it's a little later in the evening, but we appreciate you staying here and continuing on in the forum. We are going to go ahead and hear back from our groups and just kind of get a general idea of what some of the key, top 3 issues or items, topics that were brought up during your small group discussions. This is just for us to kind of hear a little bit of what was discussed tonight. I'm going to go ahead and have the people that have their folders report out. And if you would like to not do the report out, just bring your folder up here. So I'm going to go ahead and start up with Miss Standy. She'd like to go first. Okay. And you can report out if you prefer from where you are, or you can come up to the mic.
Yeah, my voice projects.
Okay.
I don't think you guys.
Thank you. We'll go ahead and refer to Roberto. I'm going to go ahead and have you go next if you'd like to go from your seat, or you can come up here, whatever you prefer. Yes.
So my name is Roberto Roman. I'm with the Office for Consumer Empowerment, and I was pleased to be facilitator for my group. The top 3 issues that our group came up with, first of all, was a broad topic of comprehensive systemic approach to effective step down, which basically was talking about that if there isn't greater coordination across the system of care and more effective ways for clients to transition between different levels of care, then it'll be much more difficult for clients to access permanent supportive housing. So that was a broad discussion that was included. The next one was focusing on individualized care, meeting the client where they are as individuals, as human beings, focusing on individual needs, and and individual welfare and so forth and wellness. The third topic was focusing on holistic care across every aspect of what the client's needs are, mental, physical, or community engagement, meeting those needs in a comprehensive way. So that's what a lot of what we focused on.
Thank you, Thank you, Roberto.
Is it on now? Testing, yeah. My name is Joe Bruno. I am representing Delta Peers, Inc. It's a new nonprofit that I'm trying to get up off and running in East County. I'm really focusing in downtown Antioch. That's where I'm trying to focus things. Our group discussion, one of the main thing that we talked about was cultural responsiveness. And again, going off what she said earlier about being like, having somebody from that culture, you know, it's one thing to understand it, but to have somebody from that culture, to have a peer that you can recognize yourself in. And the other one was okay, so it's kind of a dual thing. We talked about community building and how if we're in a tenant building and there's multiple of us, we should be able to be in a community and have fun activities, do positive engagement, which is constant meetings or, you know, activities within the complex so you can know your neighbors. And then the other thing that came up was the need for coordination and resources such as 211 to have like an office, to have a wellness center that is a 211, not just 211, but to have a place that you can walk into that will have the resources so you can come and you can get those things that you need to be well. You can come and sit down and have a discussion and then get all the resources that you need. So those were the three main things, was cultural and the 211 office and positive engagement. Thank you, Joe. Thank you. It's your guys' responsibility. It's just us reading.
Hi. So I think Jennifer and I will take turns. We have the other top three topics here. Some of our groups preferred not to share specifically, but so one of the groups, their top three was money management, not to be a function of care management. We'd like to have money management services with knowledge and access to flex funds. So another identified service need was provide more housing placements for those in care and warming centers and shelters. Last one was communication, the way that client prefers, whether it's telephone, snail mail, face-to-face. Also for all the clients to practice responsive communication to calls and emails when trying to coordinate care. So I want to make sure I covered everything here. If not, please. Yes. Provide. Okay.
Nice.
Okay. Thank you, Jennifer.
Thanks, Jen. Okay, this group said their first top priority was needs for development for people with lived experience and needs for development around home ownership. Second topic was more support availability from support services and case managers, etc. And their third one was a housing rights manager. So an on-site housing rights manager, a middle person kind of between a landlord and a consumer. So those were their three.
Thank you. For our small group discussion that I was involved with, the three top issues that were identified were more money for housing for people of all ages, including families and living with a mental illness. living skills offered on-site, including money management, wellness, coaching, social services, social activities, recreational activities. And third one was training for staff on specific issues such as dual diagnosis, medication, or side effects of medication, safety for themselves and for their clients, and valuing lived mental health experience. So staff that have lived mental health experience themselves as well was what our group discussed.
Okay. And next group, their first point, they said they feel that West County services are lacking. There need to be provided more services and supports such as detox and supportive housing, and that's specific here to West County. The second one was more on-site case managers within programs, and the third was for homeless people, getting people diagnosed that are homeless. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I want to make sure that we got all of the report outs and I didn't miss any group. I know that we ended up having a couple groups less. Havanya, yes. So would you like to report out? Okay, go for it.
Okay.
And the top 3 issues that were discussed in our group, the first one was transportation, the second, timely access to supports, and the third, community supports.
Thank you.
Thank you, Havanya. Any other facilitator or scribes that were in here that didn't get a chance to report out for your group? All right, so there was a lot of really insightful feedback. We kind of gather all of this and go back and really just kind of collect our data after each community forum. But we wanted to, we had never done this small group report out, but we thought it was helpful to kind of get a general sense of, you know, what everyone here is thinking, and maybe what are the top priorities to see if there's recurring themes. So we appreciate your input. I'm going to refer you to how to stay involved if you like what's going on here, and like that you're able to provide your input and be part of the shaping of services of the public mental health services within Contra Costa County. There are a few ways to stay involved. One is community forum such as these. We usually have a few during the year. We do them throughout different regions, West County, Central County, and East Contra Costa County. So main way to stay involved is send an email to mhsa@cchealth.org and ask to be added to the email listserv so you can receive notification of future forums. Some of our future forums we have coming up are suicide prevention and early childhood later on this year. So that those are the topics and they change every year, but you are more than welcome to email. We also have committees and subcommittees. One of them, or the main one being CPAW, which this is the trifold that I spoke of earlier. It's in all of your folders. In this brochure, you will have information on our general CPAW meeting. It happens the first Thursday of each month in Central County, Concord. And the purpose of CPAW is really for us to, or for the community to provide their input and feedback and help shape the services, as well as having a direct dialogue with our behavioral health director and having just a way to provide or voice your service needs, having access, and also helping be part of the process to improve systems. So if you're interested, we really encourage you all to attend. The meetings, again, are the first Thursday of the month in Concord. The information is right here, right on the back for the main general CPAW meeting, Consolidated Planning Advisory Work Group. And under those, there's various subcommittees. Just to give you an example, some of them are systems of care. So if you're interested in what we're currently discussing, Warren covered some of what's going on with our No Place Like Home funding. That is currently the topic that's being discussed in the system of care planning and how we are going to implement some of these funds that are going to be coming through later as for supportive housing. There's also the Suicide Prevention Committee, which is headed by Jennifer here. There's various groups from school-based, veterans group, community members, and people that are involved with trying to help create suicide prevention awareness and just helpful resources. There's also the Children, Teens, and Young Adult, which I believe Monique and Candace head. So if you are interested in what's going on in our children's, teens, and young adult services, so for us, that's anyone up to age 25, so children and up to age 25. That would be the committee, and then we have adult. So adult would be anyone up to 59, I believe, and then older adult is 60. So we have all these various subcommittees for people. We also have social inclusion. So if you have lived mental health experience or just are wanting to go and learn some really great ways that we can support each other, we recommend that you check out social inclusion. Roberto Roman is here, so is, I was gonna say, I think they left already, sorry. So the other one. So if you're interested in social inclusion and what that means, please connect with Roberto Roman afterwards. And we have the Housing Committee, which is held by H3, Health, Housing, and Homeless Services. So these are just examples of various committees. I'm not gonna list them all. There's alcohol and other drugs, et cetera, but I really recommend that you all take some time to read here. This is a great way that you're able to provide input, feedback, and help shape what is going on within our public mental health system. So you also have the opportunity to apply for CPAW membership, and you hold a seat as a member. So if you're involved, committed, we ask that you come to a few meetings and kind of at least learn about what's going on before you start applying. But we do encourage people to participate, especially if you have lived mental health experience or are a family member and you're receiving services within our system.
Okay, great. Thanks, Jenny. We're moving on to, we promised you that you were going to get to vote while you were here, so we're kind of moving towards that. I just want to point out along this wall over here to your right, there are 14 different service needs, and these were, if you're wondering how we came up with these, they were identified through a needs assessment process that we did at the beginning of the 3-year cycle that we're currently in. So what we like to do, you see there's already some dots on there, so at every forum we ask people to vote. So you've got these 5 dots in your folder. So we're gonna ask you in a few minutes to get up and just place the dots on whichever topic you think is the most important. You can put all 5. If you're really passionate about one particular subject, you can put all 5 there. You can put 1 on 5 different things, or you can kind of divide them up however you want. So please make sure that you do that before you leave. Okay?
Again, if you'd like to suggest an issue just in regards to voting, if you'd like to suggest an issue that or topic that is not on those sheets, you're more than welcome to provide it on the input form. And I do again encourage everybody to fill those out and return them back. On the back there's the evaluation form as well, just as far as program planning for tonight. If there's any suggestions you'd have. During this time, we're going to actually simultaneously be voting and doing public comment. So if you would like to get up and start voting, you're more than welcome to. We ask that you kind of try to do it quietly. And we're also going to be conducting the public comment, which is the portion that we get to hear from some of our attendees here tonight. So I'm gonna call, I only have 1 in here. If anybody else has other public comment cards and you might have them on you, you're more than welcome to hold on to them, and I can go to you and pick them up. Just raise your hand. So would you like, yes? Okay. So.
Hello again.
Excuse me, sorry. There's just FYI 2-minute time limit. We're trying to to observe time, so in case we have other other people that may want to make a public comment. We try to keep it to 2 minutes, please.
So my name is Joe Bruno again. One of the biggest things I think, I've been going back and forth between different forums, different organizations, trying to find homeless or just places to live. I've been in crisis myself for the last 2.5 years. I've been jumping around different places. So the issue that I have been getting from fellow people who are also homeless or traveling between places is, even though that there's resources available and there's hundreds of thousands of resources available, there's a bunch of stuff available for us, but the people who are in crisis don't know how to get them. There's a disconnect between when they're in crisis, how they get the resources, and then just there's a disconnect there. So there's always this discussion about having wellness centers, a resource center, kind of like both, where you can go to get resources as well as whatever you may need in that moment. If it's just a conversation, and the idea is having these resource centers and these wellness centers run by peers, those who have been through the system or currently in the system or however that looks. So that's just the ongoing discussion that I keep having, is that there's a disconnect between the consumer and the actual resources. So getting a building or something of that sort, you can do a face-to-face thing. So that's my comment. Joe Bruno, thanks.
Thanks, Joe.
All right, do we have anybody else? And something that I didn't cover was, if you would like to fill out a public comment card and have either Jennifer or myself read it, just raise your hand and I will take that form out to you if you prefer to not come up here or be on the mic.
Again, my name is Miss Dandy, and West County, you're going to hear and see a lot from me because I'm going to get the help and the services that we need. And the main thing that I want to talk about is one thing we talked about in our group, is Medi-Cal is the main issue. Medi-Cal does not transfer medical services if you don't live in the same county where you're getting your medical services from. So that is one thing that we need to connect to, is being able to make Medi-Cal county to county instead of per county. And the next thing, the best thing that I can get to get service providers and administration to understand is, you guys need to come to where we are. Writing papers and writing grants does not help people. Coming to see where the people are, going to the places that they have been will make you understand more than saying, oh, we've seen this paper fly across my desk, I know this person. You need to know where they are to try to get them out, because if you don't know where they are, you can't get them out of there.
I'm going to go ahead and read this one to you. This is from Marianne Kemp, a community member. It says, information on supportive housing should be given to Kaiser case managers, specifically Kaiser Walnut Creek. Kaiser is the largest provider of healthcare in California, and they are not at this forum. Good point. Okay. Okay, this one says, first, the forum should also focus on multi-cultures and be available in different languages such as Chinese and Korean. And part two, the forum should take place in the South region, San Ramon or Danville. Any other public comment? Did you have a comment? Okay.
All right, so thank you, everyone. I'm going to go ahead and just one last time, I know that I mentioned it earlier, we're going to ask that everybody fill out the evaluation form that's on the back. If you did not want to provide any further input, it's double-sided, so please fill out the evaluation form that is right on the back of the input form, and you return it to us here tonight. You can leave it at one of the tables. If you haven't voted yet, please get up and do so with your 5 red dots that are in your folders. One of the other things that I would like to share is just kind of some local resources here, and which again is in your packet on the printout of the presentation for MHSA. So Contra Costa County MHSA website, I recommend that everybody go on there, check it out. There's a lot of helpful information. We have our 3-year program plan that gets updated and published online, as well as the service directories that you received tonight. They're online versions and they're updated annually. We also have other helpful resources on there, information on mental health in Contra Costa County, and it links to our mental health services, or excuse me, Contra Costa County's mental health page as well. You can check it out. This is the link here. Again, this is in your folders on the PowerPoint presentations. The Contra Costa County access line, this is how you can access call to get access to some of the services within our county. It's also another helpful resource, or 211, either or. And then Contra Costa Interfaith Housing, I also wanted to provide you with their link. They were presenters tonight. You can learn more about Contra Costa Interfaith Housing. And lastly, I'm going to plug in CPAW once again, which is also part of what's linked to the MHSA webpage. If you are familiar with CPAW, you know that that's where a lot of the input is received that you kind of can stay plugged into our system. You also are able to find out what's going on in those meetings. I think as far as tonight, I'd like to say just thank you again for coming. I appreciate it. If we have any other questions, if not, we appreciate your attendance, and if you would like to have any conversations with us afterwards, please come up. We also encourage you to maybe connect with some of the providers that were here tonight. I know a lot of you had questions, and some of you were able to connect. If not, you can send an email, and we can try to bridge that connection with someone that may be able to answer the questions. All right. Thank you, and good night.